What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk, the world's most underrated podcast on earth. But I mean, ladies and gentlemen, forget that there's something about the underdog. I mean, you see him, a former elite pitcher turned broadcaster, two-time All-Star, one-time World Series champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan Dempster. What is up, sir? How you doing today, man?
I'm good, Teddy. Yeah, great to be with you. I did get another ring too, by the way, with the Cubs. But
Oh, so you have two.
well, I wasn't on. I wasn't an active player. Let's just put it that way. It was in the front office, kind of like a guy on the 60-day IL. You
We'll
know,
count it. We'll count it. So you have two rings. There
two
you
rings.
go.
Yeah, pretty lucky. It's great to be with you, man.
Hey, so two-time All-Star, two-time World Series champion. Let's run it. And I have to say, I have to ask, sir, how was Napa Valley? I saw you were just there. And I'm not a big wine guy, but it looks like you had a great time with you and yours. I mean, Napa Valley, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely the place to be. It seems so peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, it's a beautiful part of the country, and I love wine. But I love the aspect of listening to people share their stories, how they got there. We visited everything from Foreman Vineyards, where Rick Foreman was one of the originators. He's bought a piece of land there back in the late '70s for I think $62,000, and it's now 40 acres of unbelievable grapes on the coast. To people just getting started, went and had a tasting and got to hang with Rich Aurelia. Him and Dave Roberts have a brand called Red Stitch. They do Pinots and they do Cabs. They do a Chardonnay as well. I'm not a big Chardonnay guy, but like all different stories, all different experiences, and everybody's so nice, man. They're inviting, they're gracious, and then we get to drink some wine and have some great dinners. And it was my wife and I and our neighbors, our great friend Cy and Jason. So it was a blast.
Sounds like a wonderful time. Now let's talk the thing that you are also pretty darn good at besides wine drinking, baseball. Can you tell us what I'm really interested in is can you tell us from your journey from being drafted by the Texas Rangers in the third round to 14 months later, you're going to Miami. I mean, what was it like to get traded so suddenly in your young career, Ryan?
Yeah, it was I might cried. It was a big deal. I was going to be a Texas Ranger for life. Like that's what you think when you're 18 years old and you get drafted and you sign. It's like I'm going to be here forever. And, I had all the T-shirts and the license plate cover that went around the car, and all of a sudden your world gets flipped upside down. But you realize real quickly that because you get traded doesn't necessarily mean somebody doesn't want you. That's actually usually not the case. It's because somebody else wants you pretty bad. And I kind of took that approach. It was an interesting journey. Like I grew up in a small town outside of Vancouver, BC. I was taking a ferry 40 minutes one way, and then a bus ride to get to practice, and then 40 minutes home late at night, and then signed and went 3,000 miles away down to Florida from up there. So I already kind of had that overcome adversity type attitude, and so when that happened, I was like, I'll just overcome this too. I'm usually pretty good at making friends and teammates, so got to the Marlins organization, and that happened pretty quickly. Guys I'm still friends with to this day. So yeah, definitely an emotional roller coaster when you go through something like that. Like I remember my A-ball pitching coach when I got traded, a guy named Brad Arnsberg, longtime coach in the major leagues, player in the major leagues, pitcher. And I show up to his room and I was devastated, because I just didn't get it. I didn't understand, why would you trade me away? You just drafted me in the third round, and I'm crying. And Arnie was like, Demper, what's wrong, buddy? And I said, I got traded, Arnie. And he started kind of giggling and laughing. And I go, what's so funny? He goes, man, you were crying. I thought somebody died, man. And he's just like, no, this is great. They love you. That's why they want you. And that changed my whole perspective. And, so it really eased the transition a lot and was able to take that next journey on the next path of life.
And does May 23rd, 1998 ring any bells to you?
Yeah, it was 3 days after I got called up. I finally got into a game. Um, it's funny. I came in and I go out there and I have a 1, 2, 3 inning. My first inning, I pitched, and then I pitched the next inning, and I left three guys on base, and the guy came in for me and gave up a triple, and so I finished the outing with a 27 ERA, but I felt like I pitched way better than that. But yeah, I still remember I got Jermaine Allensworth and Jose Guillen and Kevin Polkovich. I got all three of those guys out. It was amazing, man. Just that adrenaline rush because I wasn't expecting it. You know, I was part of the Marlins rebuild really fast. I was in Double A just a few days before that, trying to make a start. Next thing you know, I was in the big leagues. So it was definitely blurry, but really good. I'll give you this, and you probably won't get this. Who do you think the first teammate I met when I got to the Florida Marlins?
Oh gosh, I didn't even know the Marlins squad back then. I mean, this was before I was born, 1998. I was born 1999. Ryan, come on now.
All right, I'll dig in for you. And it's kind of a trick. Mike Piazza.
Really?
Was there for like 6 days, and it happened to coincide. They had made the trade with the Dodgers to get him over there and traded Sheffield and Charles Johnson over there, and then they flipped Piazza up to the New York Mets for Preston Wilson, and I can't remember. It may be AJ Burnett, or that was the later deal. But I just remember, like, same sort of way. I was a young guy. I'm 21 years old. I walk in the locker room right there to the left. I'm like, "It's Mike Piazza. Holy shit, man, this is awesome." And he was so nice. He was just like, "Welcome to the show, man. Take it all in. Keep working hard." He was great. It was just pretty surreal.
I'll shout out Mike. And Ryan, how they say some things come full circle is you made your first start in the MLB against the Cubs. Your first start against the Cubs, where you obviously played your longest stint from 2004 to 2012, and you balled out there. Now, you played your longest tenure in Chicago, as I mentioned. What to you stood out about Chicago, obviously, to you that you even went back to Chi-Town after your career?
The fans, Wrigley
Mm.
Field, that just all of that encompassing bit. It's true. I'm a big believer in manifesting things. Like, you can manifest and make them happen. A lot of people will wait around for them to happen, or they'll think that they're trying to make them happen, and that's fine. You can try to make them happen, but I believe that if you put in the universe and that you work hard for something and you're determined for that, that it shows up. And I remember starting after that game, Wrigley Field, and I called home, talked to my dad, and I was like, "I'm gonna play for the Cubs one day." Like, it was that cool. I'm like, "These fans are crazy. They're nuts." Sammy was hitting homers all over the place. So after my first major league start, I tell him that, and then it's that 5 years later, 6 years later, I become a member of the Cubs, and then had a full year rehabbing, signed hurt. I wasn't even able to pitch yet because I was coming back from Tommy John in '04. So yeah, and then ends up pitching for 9 seasons as a member of the Cubs, and really, like, my most fond. I'm a Cub. Like, I won a World Series with the Red Sox. I'm a Red Sox too, but at the core of me is a Chicago Cub.
100%. And, I don't think I've talked with a World Series champion yet. Now I'm talking with you. What was your favorite part, about that run with the Red Sox, especially winning the 2013 World Series? What was that like, winning the World Series and doing what only a few in history have done?
Yeah, obviously magical, but given the circumstances of what happened that season, with us being a team coming off of 2012, they weren't very good. We signed a bunch of guys that, we didn't sign superstars. We signed baseball players, guys like Shane Victorino and Johnny Gomes, and going out there and getting the Mike Napolis and these different players that, you know, it wasn't all about, oh, let's go get the biggest name free agent. It's like, get David Ross. Let's get guys who know how to play baseball. And then we took that approach. I talk about talking about things happening. We took that very early on, spring training, very confident, bravado type. But you're still feeling it out. You still have to play the games. You need a purpose when you're going through the season. Some things happen. It could be a fight with another team. It could be a player on your team goes down to injury. It could be a moment in the season with the game. For us, April 15th, 2013, the Boston bombing at the marathon finish line changed the trajectory of a lot of things. The city of Boston, the Boston Red Sox fans, we all rallied, and the players, we all rallied around each other. We went to Cleveland after that game. I started that day on April 15th and went to Cleveland that night, and we all sat around, had dinner at Morton's, and we're like, what can we do for the city? because we need to do something. And it's like, okay, well, let's go out and give them the best baseball that they got. Let's be there from. First of all, let's find the guys, but which they did a couple days later. And then Poppy comes out with a speech in that game. Daniel Nava hits a massive 3-run homer off of Kelvin Herrera, pinch hit homer to send the place into a frenzy. And it really truly was a city winning a World Series. It wasn't a team on the field. We were all one. You'd walk around in the cities in the streets. People didn't freak out because you were Red Sox, probably more like they did in the past. It was more like we're all together and nobody's going to get us. Nobody's going to us down. Nobody's going to stop us from walking proudly. I don't care if you bomb it. You're not going to do that again. Like David said, this is our fucking city. And, it was powerful. I remember in the locker room, Teddy, that day before David spoke, walking in the locker room, there was the chief of police, the governor, the mayor, the head of the Secret Service, special forces, police officers, firefighters, first responders, you name it. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder in our locker room of this aura and this power of a city that had caught these guys now. And now all of a sudden, like the chest was out. Like, who are you going to mess with? You going to mess with us? Come. And I remember looking around. I looked over at Johnny. I looked over at Dustin Pedroia. I was like, bro, we can't lose. Like, it's impossible. Look what we have. We have something other teams don't have this year. Right now, we have this. And it was a city that fed us. We fed the city and ultimately got to win a World Series. And I remember leaving the ballpark 4:30 in the morning and seeing a Boston cop cracking a beer. And he's like, thank you, and I was like, you're thanking us, man. We're the ones who be thanking you guys. But it was truly a remarkable, great way, amazing storybook way to end a career and go out on top. So yeah, I'm forever. I played one season there. I feel like I played 10 years there.
I know, and you played a very remarkable season and very contributing season as well. And I mean, it all comes down to it's more the sport at the end of the day. I mean, it's a city, it's a country, and I love how you guys came together and said this is for Boston, and damn, you did it for Boston. And besides being a World Series champion, two-time World Series champion, you're also a two-time All-Star. I mean, what was your favorite part about playing in the MLB All-Star game and getting to represent your teams? I say that teams in the All-Star game.
Yeah, the first one I felt overwhelmed. 23 years old, I'm with the Florida Marlins. I know I was having a great year at the time, and I think playing so many games against the Braves benefited Bobby Cox at the time. That's how it worked. They weren't going to the players to pick. And he picked me, and then go to the game. All my family flies down from Canada down to Atlanta. The whole weekend, all the festivities. I'm like in a locker room with Randy Johnson and Kevin Brown and Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa. I'm like, what is going on, dude? Like, I'm like honestly like completely starstruck at times. I remember we got on the bus. They'd have these buses to go back to the hotel after all the festivities, and we're leaving the home run derby. And my little brother at the time, I think he was like 18. He was just graduating high school, senior in high school, and he was the biggest Pudge Rodriguez fan. Like poster in his room, all this kind of stuff. We get on the bus and he's sitting behind me, my bro, and Pudge walks on and looks at my little brother and goes, hey man, is this seat taken? Like, it's cool what I got to do, but like when you can share that moment with your little brother, like where now his idol out of chance is sitting next to him on a bus. And he talked to him the whole time, talked to him about catching. He was so great. So yeah, it was for me, it was more fandom. Like I was totally starstruck, awestruck by it all. I didn't feel like I should be there. These guys were all superstars on TV. I was just watching them 5 years ago in high school. The second one was awesome because there was 8 of us that went. Lou and 7 players. We had Fukudome started and Soto started, and we had Woody and Marmol and myself. We had a bunch of guys. It was awesome. And I'd pitch Sunday before the game. Like 115 pitches, let's call it. I don't even remember the exact number. And so now I go into the office, and I didn't pitch in the first game, by the way. I never got in the game. Bobby Cox saved me because we were 1-run game if it went extra innings. And I went into Clint Hurdle's office. And I said, hey, Clint, I got a pitch. And he said, oh, Ryan, I can't pitch you. Dude, I went through this. Like, I'm not making another one 8 years from now. Like, this is 8 years apart. So, like, you got to pitch me. And he said no. He said no all day. I went in there 2 or 3 times. I talked to him during batting practice. Next day of the game, I go in again, and I'm like, I'm pitching. I said, it's my side day. I did another run through Central Park. My arm feels great. Ryan, Clint's got a big loud voice. If I pitch you, Lou's gonna have my neck. I can't do this. You guys are trying to win a World Series. I go, cool, awesome. I'm a grown man and I feel good. And all of the same people who had flown down to Atlanta, all those same people flew from Vancouver to New York. So they're there again. And I'm like, if I don't pitch, I'm gonna be so he's telling me I'm not pitching. I'm not pitching. You're not pitching the game, right? It's not happening. Like that's exactly how it went. I was upset. I was really upset. 1% of me held this little bit of like, maybe you're wrong, Clint. Maybe I can just get a hitter. Who knows? So now it's 3-2. It's the bottom of the eighth inning. And JD Drew hits a home run off Billy Wagner to tie the game. And I'm going to the bathroom and I haven't touched my toes really since like the second inning. I haven't done anything because like now I'm not pitching for sure. Right? Like we're getting late in the game, the closers are coming in. And I'm going to the bathroom and I just hear this knock on the door, pound, pound, pound. It's the bullpen coach. He goes, Demp, if it's still tied, you're in. And I'm like, what are you talking about right now? How are you even saying this to me? So I like really quickly tie my spikes up. They're not even tied up. I'm like, start stretching. I start warming up. I warm up terribly. Giovanni Soto is my catcher. He's down there. He'd come down to help out. He was started the game. He came down. And he actually stopped during my warm up, came out and said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." Why? He goes, "Because you're not throwing it. You're not throwing a strike. Everything's all over the place. Is your arm okay? Are your body okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, dude. I just wasn't ready. I'll get there." So last few pitches I throw, but I don't throw many strikes. I probably threw 40 warm up pitches, maybe 35 warm up pitches. I probably threw 5 strikes. I was off it. Now, the year before, my dad took my great aunt's, his aunt Doris. She was a huge Yankee fan. He took her ashes during batting practice and sprinkled them on the center field, out in the center field. He had this little pill container. And I remember watching him. He's just like spraying them on the field. And I walked through those gates, tie game, bottom of the ninth inning. Mariano Rivera just pitched the top at Yankee Stadium, the last year of Yankee Stadium. This is poetic, right? He's got to be the winning pitcher. That's the way it should go if you manifested it out there. But I just looked down at the ground and I said, Auntie Doris, I'm going to need you right now. And I went out there and threw a good warm-up pitch, another good warm-up pitch. I feel pretty good. And it was like, struck out Ian Kinsler, struck out Gianna Navarro, struck out JD Drew, struck out the side in the ninth inning. I'm like, I kind of blacked out a little, to be honest with you. I like walked off the mound. I'm like, what just happened? I looked at Kerry Wood and Brian McCann. They were on the top step. I was like, well, that was easy. Just like it was the most surreal stuff because like I honestly truly believe in a higher spirit or a higher power. And that day, my Aunt Doris had my back, man. She always did.
Wow. And manifest you did. I mean, striking out all 3 all-stars is, that's pretty impressive, Ryan. And obviously your aunt had a role in it. That I'm sure of. Now, winding it down, we had Orioles starting pitcher Tyler Wells on the podcast last week, and he talked about the importance of mindset, especially in pitching. To you, how important is mindset in pitching and in sports in general, Ryan?
Makes up more than the physical side. To be honest with you, I think even with the greatest players, they're physically gifted just like everybody else, and maybe just a little bit more. But it's up here. It's all up there. I mean, it's here too. Your heart, your determination, but your ability to siphon through negativity, failure, especially in baseball. Most sports, you're going to fail a lot. Right? Good shooters in the NBA, what do they shoot 40%? I'm talking shooters. I'm not talking like the big men who dunk and shoot 60%. But you go down the line. You can pick every sport. It's the same sort of thing. Like it's hard. You're going to fail, and the acceptance of that and the understanding of that is very important. And so I think positive reinforcement to yourself is so important. My AAA roommate, we're good friends. He lives here in Chicago, just outside of Chicago. We see each other all the time, and we we're golfing one day. He goes, "You know what I always thought about you, Ryan?" He's like, "You always thought you were way better than you were." And he was right, like I didn't throw 99 miles an hour. I got up there as I got a little bit older and man strength kicked in, but I was, in the minor leagues, I was 91 to 93. I had a really, I had a decent slider. It got better as I got, but I played with guys who threw 100. I played guys who sat 95 and got whacked around as a starter or couldn't throw strikes or whatever it was. And the amount of negative self-talk that they had and
Mm.
and down on themselves, like expected perfection. Yes, totally. You should do that in everything in life. You should expect perfection if you're prepared. If you've practiced and you've gone through everything, expect it. But understand that the minute it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. And I really feel like sports and I feel like baseball. I mean, look at hitting. Think about it. Like a really good hitter, like let's take Miguel Cabrera just as a name. 3,200 hits, 3,300 hits, right? He has gotten out almost 8,000 times. Like, wrap your head around that. So, like, you have to understand that. And so, as a pitcher as well, we're going to fail. We're going to throw a good pitch and give up a hit. We're going to throw up a bad pitch and get away with. We're going to fail and we're going to go through that. And all you can control, the only thing you can control is that pitch that you're throwing in that moment. You're not guaranteed the next pitch. The last pitch is over with. If you're focusing on that, guess what? You're not setting yourself up for the best place you can be on the next pitch. It's about letting go of the past, trying to work through your future in the present moment, and having that positive attitude, having that mental approach. We see it all the time. Big, huge prospects come up, man. Superstars. This guy's the next this, the next this, the next this. Then they are a cup of coffee, a flash in the pan. And I think a big part of that is up here and how you manage that, how you get through that, and who you surround yourself with, right? Surround yourself with people that believe in you, tell you how great you are, even if it's not true, because you can carry yourself a long way in sports when you believe in yourself that way.
Yeah, 100%. I think surround yourself with people who are going to be there for you and help you. And 100%. Now, final question for you, sir, is what is your biggest tip for someone who's looking to make it to the big leagues like you once were oh so many years ago, sir?
Uh, be the buffalo. The buffaloes and the cows, right? And they're out in the field, and there's a storm coming. The cows all get together and try and find a place to hide. And the buffalo looks at the storm and he runs right into it. And he says, "Because that will pass. The quicker you can get through that storm, you're going to have storms, you're going to have failure, but don't be afraid of it. Don't try and go around it. Don't try and go under it or over it. Go right through it. And it might be hard in that moment, but don't fear that moment. You know, Going through that moment will only make you stronger for the next moment that comes up and have a better understanding for it."
And damn, I love that one. And they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and adversity will make you stronger. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, two-time World Series champion, two-time All-Star Ryan Dempster. Now, before we go, the floor is yours. I hear you have a foundation. Is that still accurate? You hear me, Ryan?
Yeah, so we have a 22Q Family Foundation. It was the Dempster Family Foundation for a while. We changed it, just the name of it. 'Cause there's so many families out there. It's not just our family. So the 22Q Family Foundation, ironically, November is 22Q Awareness Month. We're doing a big awareness tour. You can see them on the 22Q Family Foundation on Instagram, on Twitter as well. And there's ways to donate and help out. And really, obviously, donating is great, but truthfully, being down this road, watch what my daughter went through from the time she was born to now.
Mhm.
Early intervention is key. So it answers a lot of questions. If you have questions, it's the second most common um, genetic syndrome in the world behind Down syndrome. A lot of people didn't realize that, and it affects a lot of things: speech, feeding, swallowing, heart issues. And if you can get those answers, you can take the steps to benefit your child the most. Maybe it's a relative like Riley. We found out very early. She had it rough early on. She had a tracheotomy and a feeding tube and all those things. She just made her freshman high school basketball team. Like, yeah, couldn't be more proud. And her story along the way has helped families. It's created a better life for kids. It's saved lives. I know that for a fact through doctors who've reached out to me. So, yeah, check it out because you can really, and you can go to the 22Q Family Foundation.org. So 22qfamilyfoundation.org to just learn a little bit, and maybe there's somebody that you can help out along the way.
Talk about a true underdog right there. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know what? The Underdog Talk will also be donating $1 for every donation. So, I mean, guys, please go check out that. The link will be in the bio. I mean, such an amazing, cause. And obviously, I learned a lot just from you, Ryan. So I'm sure people can really learn and
Thanks.
understand about it more. And obviously, donating will help too. So if you don't have time to read, just donate and we'll match $1 for that. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Ryan Dempster. It's such a class act. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Until next time, the two-time All-Star and the Underdog